What do you want to know? My name is Flor McNally. I was not born and raised in Cincinnati like a lot of people are. I moved here 10 years ago as a bartender. And my boyfriend at the time, who's not my husband, recommended that I get into real estate when I was telling him about the ceiling that I was hitting, working in the bar business in the hospitality industry. And essentially now in retrospect, looking back, like what I really wanted to do was create systems and, set a standard for a client's experience in a restaurant. And, because my favorite part of working behind the bar was making people feel loved and making them feel appreciated and making them want to come back. So I got into the business in 2015. So the market was pretty good. And I started off at Keller Williams, which I think was also key in helping me get to the level where I am today. So Keller Williams teaches you to build a business, not to treat it like a job or, it is a business and you need to grow it and scale it as such. And so every step that I would implement or every piece of technology that I would implement, it would always be with the end goal of documenting that system and making sure that in the future I could apply it in a team setting, whether that be administrators or agents. So I did start off on a team as a team member, and I was offered and promised a lot of value, which I did not receive. And I'm not one of those people that is very like victim mentality. I'm very open and I'm very grateful. And but I just honestly did not receive any value. And so I left that team and I went off on my own. And the number one thing that I would hear often was, you need to just focus on your database. But I was 25 years old. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a husband. I just had a boyfriend. I lived in an apartment. And I'm not the type of person to do things like get my hair done regularly or, do any kind of things where you would go out and meet a hairdresser, a dentist, a doctor, a nail technician, like nothing of the sort. I was just, I would go to work and I would go home and I would go to work and I would go home. So that was really tough for me. So I started just buying leads, and I would just love on those people until eventually I just, broke or, cut the cord and went off and just did repeat and referral business.
And so, sorry for interrupting you. When you bought those leads, what system worked well for you? Was that Realtor.com, Zillow, or Google? Was there something? Which one was effective for you?
Yeah, looking back now, I think I probably would have done Facebook ads, but I didn't know about those and I didn't know how they worked. So I did Zillow. I partnered up with a lender and I was paying $183 a month, which was half of the total fee, which for me was a lot of money back then because, I was still working at the bar and I was coming into work and I sold 17 homes my first year, just about one closing a month, and being on the 50-50 split with the team and then paying the office. So anyway, all in all, like I didn't have a lot of money to work with. So I did Zillow, I did Realtor.com, which was a little less expensive. But I felt like the leads were much better quality on Zillow.
Okay. And I think that it's been interesting, especially as we set in Gary's mastermind, to hear that they don't necessarily poo-poo those at all. If you're buying leads, I think clearly we need to see a return on that. And there's so many different sources now through the playbooks that we've been given, because people typically think Realtor.com, Zillow, homes.com, that kind of thing. But there's so many other different companies, HomeLight, and just to name another one, but there's so many. And I think that if you're going to buy them, you need to, I think, find the ones that are, I think, congruent with who you are and what you're really willing to spend. And we, again, in running this like a business, we've got to make sure that the return is there on the investment.
Yeah. And I think one point that I just dawned on me is like what we tell clients, right? Like when a client has a small budget and they're like, you know what, I'm just going to hold off and I'm just going to buy later on. And we tell them, like, just get into a home, because that way you can start investing and then you can sell it after 6 months to a year. You don't have to stay in that home forever. So it could be the same, idea applied, because a lot of times realtors will, well, I'm not going to buy in that area because I don't want to be in that price point. And it's like, okay, so you'd rather sell nothing than sell $100,000 house. Well, in my area, you can buy $100,000 house. And so I did start off in that world, and it was a trap because I was stuck in a hole for a really long time. And that's actually where my housewarmings were born. I was stuck in that hole of 100 to $150,000 buyers. So I was, running on this wheel and doing a ton of work, 52 transactions, and I would see people's numbers, and it's like, that's 7 million for me. 52 transactions is 7 million. I
Wow.
know. I know. I saw Catherine Rain. She did 21 transactions and
I
she's
saw
the
that.
number. Did you see that? She's number
Saw that.
9. I'm like, what?
I know, I know. Well, I just saw, you probably got it too, because I think Greg tagged us in the, photographer who was shooting pictures the other night. And I asked Greg, I'm like, Greg, where are those photos going to show up? I guess they just showed up on the page. So they got a really great shot of me, you, and Jimmy, and oh hell, I think Sandra, whoever who was sitting next to us. So there were a couple of good shots in there. But I saw that yesterday and I'm sitting there going, are you kidding? Like number 9 at 21 transactions? I think,
21
yeah,
transactions.
yeah, 21. And so I think, thank goodness my second quarter is ramping up compared to the first. And I think we talked that our first quarter was underwhelming by our personal standards. So I
Same.
think, by the time hopefully the end of the second quarter gets here, I'll be at the 21 plus where she's at. But anyway, it was just, it was shocking and kind of mind blowing to me. But, kudos to her success.
Yeah,
I,
no, absolutely, 100%. I just couldn't believe, there was a
right.
guy in the mastermind group at the dinner that did 17 transactions and he made it
Yes.
to the mastermind. I'm like,
Yes.
oh my gosh.
Yes.
So I was stuck in this loop of, my average price point was 120 to 150,000. And so I sat down with a top tier coach that was able to give me this idea of doing housewarming. She's like, look, just take the person that bought that $300,000 house, because you have one of those, right? Or that $200,000 house. I'm like, yeah, I have like one every like 15 transactions. And she's like, take them and throw them a housewarming party, and then you get to meet all their $200,000 friends. And I'm like, okay. And that's exactly what I did. I turned around, and that's another thing that I would say is like my strength and my weakness is I'm very quick to implement. You give me an idea, it sounds good, I draw it out very roughly, and I'm like, we're gonna go and we're gonna try it. And if it fails miserably, that's fine. But if it works out, then great.
Well, I think it's crazy that everyone in the room was just going, oh yes, when Jason was going, all right, Flor, would you mind if we interview you so we can create the game plan and send it out to everybody, right?
Like, yes.
I know. I'm sitting there going, yes, that's my girl. Bring it, bring it. I was like,
Don't worry, Ben, I'll remember the little people.
thank you. Thank you very much. Well, again, I
I'm
think
just kidding.
you can bring value and you don't have to go through every aspect of it because there's a number of things that you do to really create the client experience. And I think ultimately that's what it's about for you is creating that unique client experience. And I think the housewarming falls in that. There's probably 30 other things that you do. And so you can touch on those. You can talk specifically about your housewarming, whatever you'd like. So you take it.
Yeah, I think it's really important to sit down in October when we do our business planning and just go through and take a look. Like, I did this activity with my coach a few years back where she's like, where do you get your business from? And I opened up the hood and I looked inside, and I was shocked. I'm like, wow, that's when I cut the cord on the Zillow leads. I'm like, I'm not even generating that much business from this. Like, all of my business is past client referrals, current client referrals, repeat clients, agent referrals, Sphere and Facebook. So she's like, okay, then we need to go 3 levels deep rather than 5 levels wide.
Yes.
Um, and so then we developed the plan. And so every year I simplify it even more. So now I've got it down to just, 4 or 5 blocks that then I can, get really clear on what the steps are for those things. So housewarmings, quarterly giveaways, quarterly events, VIP program, quarterly gifts, and then our market update newsletter that we send out through email, quarterly calls.
Got it.
That's my big 6 things that I do.
Yeah.
So the quarterly giveaways give us an opportunity to add people to our database. So we'll advertise that across Facebook ads. We will send it out through text message. So most of our systems are built around iPhones. I don't know, you probably have an iPhone, right? I feel like every realtor should have an iPhone rather than an Android. But it has a feature where you can mass text and it'll use your phone number. And so it won't have that, hit stop to unsubscribe. And it'll be a blue bubble, which, for iPhone users, it brings a sense of comfort that this is a real person. And just having that, that personal touch feel without it actually being like me sitting there texting them. So we send it out to them. I'm like, hey, by the way, I'm sending out I'm giving away $1,000. So make sure you sign up. And here's the link. So I do that every 3 months, quarterly. I do the same thing with events, not just text messages, but we put it on a Facebook ad. We do the text message, we do bomb. And so we have an outlined plan on a calendar where we send out certain things at certain times. It's all very systematized, all very organized and efficient. My favorite. Those are my favorite words. Organization and efficiency.
Yeah.
And
Christina,
then,
who you see, my success manager there, that's part of her love language. She is very efficient, and I think we're such a we're a formidable pair because I think I'm the wow guy, right? I'd like to see myself as the visionary, and she can help me bring all of that together. So I think we're a great team together. So
that's awesome. I've got Amanda and Sharon. They're my 2 pillars.
yes.
Sharon's very good to bounce ideas off of. So she's my director of sales, and basically what she does is she does all the initial phone calls. So if somebody calls in and says, "Hey, I got your number from Ben Baker. He says that you're really great in the area, and I want to buy my first house." Oh my gosh, I'm gonna send Ben a thank you. Thank you for letting me know. We actually have a VIP program that I have, and so we'll make sure and get him enrolled, and we'll send him his first gift. So thank you for letting me know that he sent you my way. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a form, and I want you to fill out this form. It's not an application. It's not a mortgage application. It's not a contract. It's just a way for me to stay organized, because that's a #1 complaint with real estate agents is that they're all over the map, and I'm not. I'm very organized. So I'm going to text you this link. Is this your cell phone number? Yes, it is. Okay, great. Once you fill it out, I'll call you back. So I don't talk about anything. And they're always like, well, can I add? No, I'm not going to answer a question. You have to fill out the form. Okay. So what does that do? #1, it gets me their information, but #2, it also trains them that I'm a professional. You're going to do things my way. And some people, I mean, I would say I could count on my hands how many people have decided not to fill out the form. So most people are like, yes, ma'am, I'll fill it out right now. So they fill out the form, and automatically that goes to Sharon. So she gets a bing email. She gets a profile on a platform that I designed, and then she gets the ball rolling. And she's like, "Hey, I know you just talked to Flor, but my name is Sharon, and I'll be taking the process from here. And don't worry, Flor's going to be involved in every conversation. She's in every group chat. She's in every email, and she's going to be doing the important part of getting you under contract once we get to that stage." It's so exciting. And she has all the patience in the world. I mean, those conversations are very monotonous once you have 60 of them, but she loves it. She absolutely loves it. So she's like my visionary, and so we bounce off ideas because she gets it. Like, she sees what I see. And then Amanda is more like the bring you back down to the ground. Like, these are the kind of like probably how Christina is. nuts and bolts. This is what
Yes,
we've got going on. This is what we need to
yes,
fix. This, you know, so.
absolutely. Well, and that being said, already, I'm sure Christina's thinking, okay, we should see the text that you send out with the information, because I've talked about that forever, because I feel like you said something I think is so vital. And you know what, we got to teach people how to treat us, and they need to see that, you know what, we're professionals. And this isn't fly by the seat of my pants, right? This is the way that I do things. And not to get off subject, but we had a situation last night where it was a bit outside the norm, you know what, and a couple of mistakes were made. And I feel like they were made because I didn't stay true to who I normally am, right? And so I get enough of
You
that.
let you, yeah, and I get it. I mean, I've been there too, where people just, you know, that you can only be so strong and hold so firm, but it makes you stronger in the end. But what I tell people, like when they start pushing back, I'm like, when you go to the doctor's office, what's the first thing they hand you? A clipboard. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm handing you a clipboard. I'm also a professional. I have an office. I have, you know, I'm a professional and I want to treat you with professionalism. So I'd really appreciate it, because once we get deep into the process, I don't want to be A as in Apple, M as in Max, A as in Apple. I don't want to be doing that over the phone. I want to have that information on hand so that I can be as efficient as possible.
Love it. Love it. We're implementing that. So again, thanks for sharing. So continue.
Yep.
So so from there, um, where do you go with again, do touch on your housewarming. Just give us the nuts and bolts. Because again, I know that your husband is also involved in that. And I think that again, what we were hearing in Austin was efficiency. That's what we were hearing, right? Because you've got a system there. I think your numbers are pretty tight, because I've done them, and in my notebook on Monday and Tuesday, I'm like, all right, I need to get back for certain clients. I don't even know if I've done it once or twice since Christina's and I have been together, but I'm like, I've got to go back, and for that true A client or advocate, you probably do it for a number of folks, but I think that if it's an advocate, someone who's just bragging on me, that's who I'm gonna, have the housewarming for, and make sure that we invite their friends and their family to it. So
It's key that, at least for me, like in my business philosophy, it's key to, if you're gonna do it for one person, you got to offer it to everybody.
okay.
And
Okay.
it's a scary thought, because it's a big investment. But when I say, like, it is the number one highest conversion rate activity that we do, it literally is. I mean, it's so amazing, and it gets so much exposure, and you have so many touches, and people come out of the woodwork like years later, and they're like, I went to Melissa's housewarming party back in 2019. It's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Nice.
So, but there's a lot of steps that you have to take to be able to keep that visibility with those people,
Okay.
without being spammy. Like, if there's one thing that I hate, it's spam. I hate
Okay.
spam. So
Okay.
don't do that to people.
Okay.
So right after closing, we put people on a post-closing smart plan. I used to do it through Commands, but now I do it through Brevity. So that post-closing plan does one more attempt at the review if they haven't already done it. So we ask for the review right as they get their contract accepted, and then after closing. So those are the two times. And then my admin does it right at the end when they get the clear to close. So she has a phone call with them. So please don't forget to fill out the review, because I incentivize her. If she gets a review, then she gets incentivized with money.
Okay.
Because they're that important. If you look at my Google page, I mean, you look up any realtor, they're not going to have as many reviews as I have. Maybe big teams, but like for a single agent, like I have a ton of reviews. So they get that one. They get the email about the housewarming as, did you know, question mark. But I also bring it up at the final walkthrough. So I do all my final walkthroughs, and I do all of my closings. The final walkthrough for me is so special, because again, the only time that I've talked to these people really is at the very first phone call where I'm like, fill out the form or else they'll kill you.
Mm.
And and then at the offer writing, and I'm talking to them on the phone, but they've never seen me. And I'm chiming in throughout the transaction, solving problems and things, but for the most part, like the two main times that I talk to them are the first initial call and then when they're negotiating their contract. So it's this big moment, it's this big reveal. Like I finally get to meet this person that made my dream come true of getting this house, and for me, it's like putting a face to the name.
Absolutely.
So I take their picture at the final walkthrough, and I'm like, I'm gonna throw you a big party if you want it. I'm like, there's no way you're gonna. I'm like, yep, I bring food, I bring drinks, I bring a videographer. They're like, oh my gosh. And so that link is just a reminder, right? Did you know that Day Maria Homes throws you an all expense paid housewarming party? All you have to do is click on this link and do you want me to share my screen and show you?
Chris, can she share her screen?
No, I would have to make her host.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then, well, we're going to circle back and get that because I know a number of folks, Flor, would like to see it. So again,
Have you heard of Calendly?
Yes.
Okay, so it takes them to Calendly, and so I have everything blocked off except Saturdays. I used to do Saturdays and Sundays, but I'm very religious, and like it was going against my values to host these parties on Sundays. But I may have to open it up again because we're doing so many transactions. But so far it hasn't been a problem. So they log into Calendly, they select a date. That sends an email to me, it puts it on my calendar, and it initiates a set of tasks on the same platform that I designed, ClickUp. And so the first thing that the admin team does is create a form, a Google form that, let's see if I can show you. It looks like this. It just says,
Okay. Love it.
it's all around them. It's client centric. It's not Day Maria Homes. Obviously, it has the branding at the top, but they're having a party. We can't wait for you to be there. Here's the details. And what does it ask for? First name, last name, phone, email, birthday, home address. And so then I have a full spreadsheet of all these people's information.
Nice.
There's
Nice.
one key takeaway from this conversation is stop thinking of everything you do in such a way that is, what am I going to get out of this? How many closings? How many leads? That's not what you're after. You are after contact information. If you change your mindset around events to or even giveaways to, I just want to get as much contact information as possible, it will change your whole business.
Amen. Amen. I'm curious, the data, I think data is key, right? And that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for data, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I get this spreadsheet of people. So the party that I'm throwing tomorrow is 40 plus people. And so I send them a mailed invitation, which I actually do have a copy of one. Tell Amanda to bring it.
And trust me, we're going to circle back and get just a couple of those things because I think this is a system that's pretty easy for us to implement because I've done it in the past. I just, I think that your point is, don't be so, do it offer it to everybody. Not everyone will accept it, but do it for everyone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Thank you. Thank
So
you for that.
Send out the mailed invitation. We send out a bomb 2 days before that says, don't forget, we have this party coming up. See, because I got that one this morning about Katerias, John and Katerias. So it has their picture on there.
Okay.
As we take the final walkthrough photos and we send these final walkthrough photos, we make them a closing gift out of it. Then we send them their first year anniversary, a mug with that picture on it. So it's crucial for me to get those photos at the final walkthrough.
Okay.
So we send them bomb and then we send them a text the day of the party. All 40 people plus the lender who sponsors it, the client, so they can see what we're doing. We mail them the invite, we email them the invite, and we also text them so they can see like your people are getting all this stuff and we're doing all this for you. They get a text message, and then I bought one of those 360 photo booths. This is the latest edition.
Okay.
So we have, one of those 360 fun things, and it's $2,500, but I can use it for all my events.
Right.
So I've got that. I've got a raffle, 3 gift cards that I give away, and each party is broken down into zones, right? So you've got the taco segment of the party, and then you've got the raffle segment of the party, and then you've got the ending. So, which is the group photo, and we do like a group video with the people. And so I break it down like that. Hour 1, everybody's eating, having a good time. Hour 2, we do the raffle. Hour 3, we're wrapping up and we're out of there. Keep it simple, keep it scalable.
I am so glad that you shared that with us, because I think that this audience, they love practicality, and that's exactly what this is. And so I think, it's not the return on it is fantastic, but again, the return for you really is data. You're now having an opportunity to serve and touch their friends, and hopefully working with the Joneses has been a great experience. And you've delivered such a unique client experience that so many of their friends and family, they want the same damn thing.
Yes, no, that's exactly what happens. Like,
exactly,
and I mentioned this at the mastermind. Like, people come up to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, so like, should I buy my first house?" And I'm like, "Not the time and place. This is, this person's party, but let's talk on Monday. Did you fill out the raffle form? Because I can get your information from there." And I capture the people that I didn't capture on the front end on the raffle, because
Yes.
once they see the flood of people like going and filling out this form, they're like, "Oh, I want in on that." And it's like this really fun experience. And even the people that were like, "I don't want to fill it out, I don't want to fill it out," they see everybody hyped up, they've got their tickets, and they're like, "You know what? Can I still enter?" Like, of course you can. And I promise I'm not going to spam you. But so then after the fact, what I do is I send them the video, because it's a professional video, and they're so good. The videos are so good. So I send them the video, I post the video on Facebook, and they share it like crazy, because they're like, "Holy God, like, who does this kind of thing?" Right? So the clients share it, and
we're going to take it to that level. I'm telling you.
yes.
I'm going to share it with you so you can see that we're doing it.
I love it. And then they also get subscribed to HomeBot. I don't know if you've heard of HomeBot.
Mm-hmm.
I put them in HomeBot because we've found that people actually really like getting that email. So we put them on HomeBot, they mess around in there, and we've gotten so many listings like that. Like, I've been getting these emails, "What's my value?" Blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And then they get invited to all my events because they're in my database.
Say that you have brought so much meat that we're already up against the clock, and I'm like, man, see, this is why I love what I do, and I can tell that you bring such a passion and such a joy to what you do. It's the reason why, one, you're in that room. You're recognized as one of the top individual agents in the entire country because of who you are, and I think your passion. And it shows. I know your customers, your clients, they feel it. I appreciate you bringing it to us just over the last 30, 35 minutes.